Question 3. Michael Stokes. You were a voracious reader. Do you still find reading worthwhile? No. Before, I was hyper where it involved books. Hyper. I was literally forcing myself to read, even if I was tired, 8 hours a day sometimes. I would sit in the toilet, read a book. I'd sit outside, read a book. I'd go out traveling. I would listen to a book review, MP3. It was non-stop. I don't know. I just wanted to complete 1,000 books. So it became my mission to literally read a book. And when I came to know you can read a book a day, I tried. It doesn't work. Reading a book a day is not possible. You can skim through a book. You can't read a full book per day. But small books you can, maybe, few hours. But then after reading all those books, I think one fine day I asked myself, okay, I've read so many books. What is the change in my bank balance? It's nothing. Nothing has changed. The only thing that increased was my book collection. Only thing that increased is the number of book reviews I wrote or put as a video. The only thing that increased was a little bit of talking points and awareness. But in terms of revenue, money, career growth, specialization, expertise, it didn't help anything. Like I can talk about the frontal lobe and your behavior patterns, psychological terms here and there. People will listen to it. Wow, he knows cognitive dissonance. He knows these fancy terms. But then what does it do for you? It doesn't do anything, man. So eventually I was like, who am I fooling? Why am I doing this? So I discontinued reading books. Today, if I read a book, it will only be related to the work I'm doing. It will only be something that might add value to me or just sheer curiosity or entertainment. And it will be strategic. If I read a book, it should add value to my brand or my business. Others are not. I have a lot of books, man. I think I have even 5 lifetimes. I'll not be able to complete all the books I have. So I don't read any more books, and I've also stopped buying books aggressively because it doesn't help at all. Okay, so I hope that helps. Let's move to next question. Cube Boy, he says, what do you think will the stock market crash? What do you think will the stock market crash as crypto is growing so big and it's reaching all time that there'll be a winter correction? Okay, there are a couple of assumptions that you have made here. One is, what do I think about the stock market crash? First things first, nobody can predict the stock market. People can make assumptions. Majority of the predictions are like, you'll either say it's up or down. So either you'll be 50% right or 50% wrong. Second one is, nobody can predict the price of crypto. People are saying it'll go 100,000. But I can assure you, ask them what will be the price tomorrow. What will be the price day after tomorrow? What will be the price after 4 days, 5 days, 6 days? Ask them every single day. Take around for a month. Check their accuracy. See, nobody can predict, man. People can only shoot and fart from their ass and, like, I'll give a number, 100,000. If after 2 years it hits 100,000, I predicted. Remember, I predict. You can put a number out there at maybe 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Somewhere down the line, your prediction number will hit, right? So that is not... prediction is, you give me September 15th, 2021, 11 o'clock, this will be the price, fine. Which is impossible. So the fact of the matter is, nobody can predict the stock market. Nobody can predict crypto. And I'm not giving this from my own experience. I'm giving this from the conversations that I have with multi-millionaires who speak to me. I ask them questions because, see, I focus on the subject of my expertise. If there are subjects that I do not know, I engage in conversations with people who are seriously involved in it, like people who are 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in a particular field and who have made money and a living. So not just theoretical people. So these cryptocurrency people who have made millions, I speak to them because they're day and night they're doing just that. So they have told me nobody can predict crypto, nobody. People only talk. So what will be the impact and what will be the correction? The market will always have to correct itself here. It goes up, it has to come down. It goes down, it has to go up. It's more like gambling. I say stock market and cryptocurrencies are like a gamble. The only thing is, if you're holding on to stable, really stable cryptocurrency, known like Ethereum or Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever, if you're planning to hold it for 5 to 10 years or beyond, it's worth it. Otherwise, don't get into something which you're just trying to leverage or trying to make money quickly. All right, let's move on to question number 5. Okay, question number 5, which was asked by Sovik Das. Okay, question number 5. Can you make a video about the pros and cons of the Modi government? Yeah. Pros and cons of the Modi government. Okay. The pros is, if you look from the day of independence until now, I would say Modi's government is at least a government that takes action, at least does something. Agreed that he's doing a lot of things, some which people like, some which people don't like, but you cannot deny the impact it is having. Positive or negative, it's having a solid impact, and he's having the guts to do which nobody else has had. The demonetization, the Citizenship Amendment Act. I mean, there's so many. So on the pros side, I would say that he's a man who is really doing something. He's not just theory. Okay. Cons is he has had massive failures. See, everything you do can't turn to gold. The bigger your steps are, the bigger the failure is. So the cons are where he has failed big time, really big time. Okay, you'll ask me an example. The demonetization, I don't think it has been a success. I personally don't think it has been a success. There are people still using loopholes in the system. Okay, that's me. I can be wrong. The second one is the Citizenship Amendment Act. They talked about it. Now there is no news about it. It just caused chaos. The third one is the COVID-19 handling. It's been a failure. And last, if not the least, I would say that being a political party that is close to Hindus, I understand the support and the bias they have towards Hindus. Totally understandable. But I feel there are members in his government who are leveraging this for corruption and for bad purposes. But overall, if you ask me, I would say I consider Modi a very necessary, like they say, necessary evil. I'm not calling him evil. But he's, like I always ask people, if Modi is not there, who will lead the country, man? There's nobody else. There's nobody else. So Modi is all you got, at least for now.